Thanks for tuning in to the Business Spotlight Podcast, a presentation of the Lancaster-Fairfield County Chamber of Commerce. I'm Logan Weaver, the marketing coordinator for the Chamber. Thanks for tuning in. Today we've got JC & Company in the Business Spotlight, and joining me today from JC & Company are Bryce Long, Financial Advisor Assistant, and Brian Long, Partner and CEO of JC & Company. How's it going, guys?
Good. How are you?
Doing pretty well. It's a busy time here in Lancaster, Fairfield County with Lancaster Festival. It might still be going on by the time this episode airs. So thank you guys for joining us today and joining the podcast.
You're welcome.
So before we dive into specifics and services, Brian, since you're a partner and CEO of JC & Company, kind of give us a brief overview on what JC & Company is.
Okay. So at JC & Company, the good thing for us is we do the stereotypical CPA firm stuff, for lack of a better term. Our tagline, we typically say, is advisory, tax, and wealth management. And on the advisory, it used to always be accounting and auditing. No longer are accounting firms accounting and auditing firms. They're actually more advisory firms so that we can really understand how a business is doing as opposed to just, compliance and pulling things together for a bank or something like that. The tax side of things, it is what it is. Everyone has to file taxes every year, so that we work with all kinds of businesses, individuals, so individual tax planning, corporate tax planning, trusts, estates, you name it, we do it on the tax side of things. And then finally on the wealth management, it's really more related to, all right, now that we've been able to pare down our tax bill, help in our tax bill, how do we take our money and grow it to the next level?
Nice. And I see here you guys not just have the Lancaster office, but you're in Hilliard as well?
Correct. We actually acquired the Hilliard office about 25 years ago.
Oh, nice.
So we actually
a bit of an
run
anniversary
both.
year. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So we're actually on the cemetery, off of Cemetery Road in Old Town Hilliard, right in the middle of everything up there too. So it makes it nice that we kind of straddle both sides of Columbus.
And then you guys, of course, here in Lancaster at 125 West Mulberry Street. So you guys are pretty local, covering most of, if not the entirety of Central Ohio, too. So good to have someone who's right in your backyard who knows what they're doing with a wide variety of services, too.
Yeah, it's easy for us to really say that, okay, anywhere within an hour to an hour and a half in that Central Ohio area, we can cover, we can help. And really what we're finding, too, now is since the pandemic, everyone knows how to use a Teams meeting or do a Teams meeting. And with that, we can also be anywhere in the world and still take care of clients.
Awesome. So let's dive into some of those topics here quick. Some of them you already mentioned. It's right in your tagline. Let's dive into advisory services real quick. Kind of explain, what that means exactly. Is it more so the financial side, or is it more of a broader term?
Yeah, it's probably more of a broader term as it relates to what I'm finding is I'm in my mid-50s. I typically work with clients 10 years younger to 10 years older in my wheelhouse. And what I'm finding now is those that are 10 years older are actually looking to sell their businesses. So that advisory side of things that, okay, what's my business worth? When I do sell my business, how much can I take away and help with my family moving forward? So it's not just financial statements. It's really more being a partner with the client and helping them grow their business, making sure the numbers are good. What should we be doing next? Really acting as a soundboard.
And I think that's reflective of some of the trends that we've seen here lately as the population's aging. That obviously means that some business owners are aging, and as you mentioned, they may be looking towards retirement or, what that next step is, whether it's handing off the business to a family member or, selling out, stuff like that. So I think that's good to have someone local to help them, guide them through that process.
Exactly. It's one of those where you really need someone to help you with your business or even individually so that you don't, make any wrong turns along the way.
Absolutely. So Bryce, as far as your perspective goes, obviously, father-son duo here, kind of obvious with the names, of course, but so Bryce, do you help, folks in kind of your age range as well, similar to him?
Yeah, so pretty similar to that. So I'll work on both the wealth management side and the advisory side. So actually, when I moved up here to Lancaster from Cincinnati a couple months back, previously I worked as a sell-side investment banker, so helping more private companies with selling their business to a larger company. So I really was able to bring that expertise of valuing the business, going from A to Z of the sale process, and help a lot on the advisory side. But with that, there's not many folks my age, so 20s, 30s, that are selling their business, but there's folks that might be looking to start buying into businesses. There's folks that, might be a family member they're taking over. And from the wealth management side, there's a lot of people in their 20s and 30s that now's the best time to start thinking about how are you going to grow your wealth and be prepared for kids and buying a home and things like that. So it's great to, help people both around my age and all the way up.
It's a good thing you mentioned the wealth management part, because I was going to get to that next, since we've already kind of touched on that some, especially in today's economy and, fluctuating of, political stuff going on and all sorts of things going on, to where wealth management is so key right now, whether you're looking at retirement, maybe selling a business, or if you are trying to start a career. All those different variables are always fluctuating. So, Bryce, I'll start with you. Why is it important for someone in their 20s, 30s who may be thinking, retirement nowadays isn't until late 70s, sometimes if your health is great, early 80s, and Brian, we'll talk about that as well. But if they're thinking, I'm going to be working for another 50 plus years, why should they still be thinking about retirement now?
Yeah, I think the best way to answer that is the best time to start saving for retirement was yesterday. The power of compounding interest is, the sixth wonder of the world sort of thing. So you start saving just a little bit at a time when you're in your 20s. You can keep bumping that up as you get older, as you have a family. The amount of difference between saving at 25 to 30 versus starting at 35 will make a world of difference. So really getting ahead of the curve. I personally, and this is what I want for all of our clients too, is you don't want to be 65 years old looking at retiring, wondering, what am I going to do? I don't think I can retire. I'm going to have to keep working. Let's get ahead of that, figure it out in your 20s, 30s, 40s, and then you're good to go by the time you reach that age.
And these days, I've seen so many apps where they try and make investing easy, which can be a benefit for some folks, but it makes them think that this app is your one-stop shop, which in some cases, from personal experience too, that may not always be the case. You see your potential, but it's nowhere near what you need for retirement. So where does someone like you step in and help out those types of people who are looking at retirement years down the road?
Yeah, Brian, do you want to?
I would say financial planning begins now. Everyone needs, and that's kind of our motto that we talk about in the office, is everyone needs a financial plan, whether you're 25 or whether you're 75. 75 may be too late. And we really like to partner with clients to really look at, okay, here's what I have today. Again, whether I'm 25 or whether I'm 75, where do I want to be in the future? When do I want to retire? When do I want to have kids? Do I want to have kids? Do I want to get married? All those different variables makes everybody's plan different. So the best thing to do is talk with someone like us and really navigate where you're going to be over the years. And again, like Bryce said, it should have begun yesterday.
So moving on to tax planning. I know tax is like another dirty word for some folks. You don't want to hear it, especially as a business owner, because there's so much more that comes into play as a business owner when it comes to taxes. I'm sure you guys probably see the bulk of it probably around spring, during tax time, the traditional tax season. But how do you help folks navigate through the tax process throughout the calendar year?
Especially the businesses or the small businesses, and looking at that. You can actually work with someone year-round, in all honesty, because okay, we look at things in the spring and we owed a bunch of money and now we're behind and we need to catch up through the next few months in order to survive and continue on. And we finally roll forward. We've made some profits. We're in the fall. Now what do? And rather than waiting until February or March when it's too late to plan, you really should be talking with us earlier in the year, like September, October, November, to really look at what should we be doing ahead of time. So should we buy more equipment in order to get an extra tax deduction? Should we put money into a retirement plan? Kind of the sky's the limit as to things that we can do to help reduce their profits.
Yeah, that's greatly beneficial, especially knowing in advance that you can get a head start on that, because I think there may be some, especially small business owners, who may not even have a background, or especially if they're a first-time business owner where they just recently got into the business and then tax time comes around and now things are on fire because they weren't prepared in the first place. So kind of tell me, if I'm a first-time business owner, wait to the last minute, how do you help in those situations, or how do you help first-time business owners navigate that process?
Yeah, the nice thing is we really just handhold them more than anything. Something as simple as, okay, when I'm first starting my business, I maybe don't need to make quarterly estimates because it's based on a prior year, and not to get super technical, but it's just navigating the due dates of things. Different things are due different times during the year. If I pay quarterly estimates, I'm April, June, September, and then January. If I'm doing payroll taxes, I'm each quarter. So it really runs the full gamut as to how we can help. But more than anything, it's just having that conversation to really take the time to plot out what the steps are through at least the first year and moving on to the next year and so on and so forth.
Moving on now to QuickBooks and Boss. Tell me a little bit about this Boss program that you guys have listed on the website.
So what we do there is really in conjunction with QuickBooks, we actually do back office system support. And with that, essentially, we function as a CFO for a lot of smaller clients that maybe don't have the funds in order to take care of things themselves. So it's bill pay, it's reconciling their bank accounts, it's everything related to the business. And whereas accountants used to be, okay, June's done, we'll get your information the first couple weeks in July. We may not get your books back for another 2 weeks, so you're already a month behind on things. By having this Boss system in conjunction with the QuickBooks Online, we have real-time accounting. So essentially, at the end of June, for my same example, July 1st, we can reconcile the accounts and have things going. We actually do it July 1st, July 3rd, July 5th, whatever day, so that rather than waiting till after the fact and not knowing we're not making any money, we're really looking at it proactively as we go.
Tell me about how QuickBooks and the Boss program can help a business, especially on day-to-day operations.
Really, more than anything, it's budgeting. How much money do I have? Because what typically happens is, and I have clients from long ago that they pay their own bills, they use the old manual check system. Yeah, they keep a running tally of what their bank account is showing, but a lot of things are done electronically. They forget to take something out of their checkbook. So all of a sudden they think they have $30,000 and they actually only have $4,000. Write a check and they've overdrafted it.
Yeah.
So that's really it more than anything, that, just for a little bit extra to know where you stand makes a big difference.
Yeah, especially having, professionals who know the software, who know the ins and outs, not just of the software itself, but of how these things work, even without QuickBooks, I think would be greatly beneficial for a lot of businesses.
Exactly. It makes all the difference in the world. And the nice thing is it gives us an opportunity to not just grab stuff at the end of the month and help you later. We're really working as your partner all throughout.
Awesome. And then finally here, real quick, we'll talk about payroll. And I know there are some small businesses, especially first-timers, as we kind of talked about. That's kind of been the whole theme of today, is sometimes they'll start a business and, it's just one or two people, so they don't really need to focus on payroll. But as they begin to grow, how important is it, especially to have someone like JC & Company help manage that side of the business?
Yeah, I always tell clients that, okay, even if starting out, you've probably never done payroll before. And all it takes is paying one payment late, or one payment not quite the right way, or whatever that, conversation may be, and you'll get a penalty of $30, $40 type thing, or $3,000 or $4,000. And the small cost to run payroll versus that one mess up and penalty, you've already paid for us and then some. So that really makes a difference to have someone handhold so that you can instead not worry about payroll, worry about growing your business and getting it going and getting it started.
Now, when you're referring to penalties, kind of explain that a little bit.
Okay. Initially, it would be, okay, I have quarterly payroll taxes that need to be completed. And I maybe owe $3,000 at the end of the quarter because I'm a smaller business just starting out. They can be quicker as you get further along with payroll. But in looking at that, if I take that $3,000 payment that I should have made on July 15th and I don't realize I need to pay it and I don't pay it till August 1st, boom, penalty. And the penalties vary depending on how late you are, when it should have been, that kind of thing. But that's why I say, a $3,000 payment that maybe tacks on a $300 penalty because you paid it late, boom, that's paid for 3 months worth of services for us or something like that.
And for a new business, as they continue to grow, we've seen a lot of them here in Lancaster and Fairfield County. At what point should they consider looking at someone on, like, if they are managing payroll internally, but they're continuing to grow, at what point should they begin to consider either you guys or someone about payroll services?
I still go back to, I think from day one, even with 1 or 2 people as a time period, but definitely when you get to 10, 15, 20 people, where what should you be doing? You should be working on growing your business, not worrying about when things are due, how payroll is done.
So, Brian, if folks want to reach out to JC & Company, learn more about advisory, tax, wealth management, or any of your other services that you provide, how can they reach out?
Easiest way is to call us on the phone, 740-653-9581. You can also email us, or you can, probably the easiest thing is to hop on our website at www.jccpa.com. And in doing that, what really happens is it kind of gives you a listing of all our services. You can actually hit a contact us, get right to me or someone in the office, and we can start from there.
Awesome. That's Brian Long and Bryce Long of JC & Company here in Lancaster. Again, you can visit their website, jccpa.com, for more information on all their services. Thank you both for coming in today.
Thank you.
Thanks, Logan.
You've been listening to the Business Spotlight podcast presented by the Lancaster-Fairfield County Chamber of Commerce.